Welcome, everyone. My name is Chanita Williams, and I just wanted to welcome you guys back to another one of the expo sessions that I am presenting. I am a 13-year homeschool veteran. I have three children, one who I'm still currently homeschooling. We are dealing with a rising third grader, and my other two are off into dual enrollment programs in high school. So I'm so glad you decided to join me today in the wonderful topic of how do I choose the perfect curriculum? So I'm sure if you are new to homeschooling, you have asked yourself this question. Maybe you've asked some of your friends this question. I can just tell you, as a veteran homeschooler, this is the $1,000,000 question. And so, what I like to do before I go into specifics, I try to allow the parent to go on a journey because I feel like part of the researching and the overwhelmingness of all of it is actually a part of the journey. And so before I try to provide any guidance or any suggestions to any parents, whether they're new, veteran, or just on the fence about curriculum choices, we have to dig a little bit deeper to find those answers because there is no perfect curriculum. So hook, line, and sinker, if you thought you were joining this section to find the tip and trick about how to get a perfect curriculum. In all of my years of homeschooling, and I have definitely polled countless of my homeschooling colleagues, that there is just such no curriculum that is a perfect fit from A to Z for any family, for any student. Even sometimes within your own family, especially if you're homeschooling multiple children, you will find that one curriculum may not fit for the other one. And so, some of the questions you're going to want to ask yourself, and you probably want to write these down before you get into spending a lot of money on curriculum, is you want to ask yourself, what type of educational model do I best align with? And so, if you didn't go to school for teaching, it may involve you doing some extensive research, but there are varying models, varying education models that might help you decide the lane of where you want to go into purchasing a curriculum. The second question that I like to ask parents is, what is your child's learning style? That's a big one because some of the curriculums that you will see in the homeschool world, they don't fit for every child. There are certain curriculums, and I'm not going to name any curriculums because they're not sponsoring this expo. But there are certain curriculums that what we would consider more of a box curriculum, meaning you purchase a grade level. So, say I have a rising third grader. So, I purchase third grade curriculum. So, that's going to give me subjects on every one in the third grade: my math, my language arts, my spelling, my health, all of those things, all of your core content classes, and maybe some supplemental, but it's going to give you everything you need for that particular grade. Those can run you anywhere from $750 to $1,500 for that one grade. Now, maybe there's a benefit to you if you have twins or triplets, or you have stair-step children in grades. So if you purchase the curriculum and then you have another second grader who's rising the following year, so maybe that's a benefit. But if you have one child or you have them spaced out, box curriculums may not be the way to go because you don't really feel like you get your money's worth because you're only using it one time for 1 year. So that's what a box curriculum is. Everything is together: your social studies, your science, your math, your language arts for that grade level. The next type of curriculum is you can find would be um, we like to call them lap booking curriculums, but it's more eclectic style. So you can take a unit of something and say you want to do unit studies. So, which is you want to exhaustively complete everything from A to Z on marine biology. You're going to want to look at things that are more lap book based or unit studies. If you want to study STEM, science, technology, um, and engineering and math, or STEAM, adding in the arts. If you want to study theater. So it really just depends on what it is you're looking for. The third question I like to ask parents is, what are your goals? Because I found in my time of homeschooling, not everyone homeschools for the same reason. And so if you have listened to any of my expos before, you've already heard me mention we have always started out homeschooling from antiquity. There were no schools, right? Everyone learned by way of homeschooling, and we didn't think it was strange. We didn't think it was weird. But now, because of modern education and traditional school systems, you have to figure out what are your goals. My personal choice in homeschooling was not necessarily to raise child prodigies. I really wanted to work on my children's character, their behavior, integrity, and I knew no one could do a better job at instilling those values in our children outside of my husband and I. So we made a choice not to send them to a stranger all day whose the values of that stranger may have been the one impeding into our children's hearts, when they were at that young, tender age. So finding out what your goals are. Are you trying to raise prodigies? And maybe you want to look at some more advanced programs. Maybe you want to look at things that are heavy in the science and technologies and the math. And one of the beautiful things about homeschooling and picking your own curriculum, you can pick and choose bits and pieces from multiple curriculums. You don't have to marry and stick with one item from a particular curriculum. So I know a lot of friends of mine in the homeschool world who have children who are very much into the arts. So they're doing things around theater production, being a part of plays, stage management. They're doing some of those things to offset some of the artsy type stuff, fine artsy type curriculums that you were looking for. If you have a child that's heavy into literature, you may want to continue looking at models that are more Charlotte Mason. If you have children who do really well with sing-songy and memorization, you may want to have them look at things that are more classical in nature. So, and if you have a child that has some difficulties, or they're not your traditional learner that's going to sit at a desk and complete a worksheet. They have to be moving, they have to be touching. You want to look at things that are more tactile. You may want to look more into the Montessori-based programs. So all of these things are just a few tips for you to consider before making a selection. There's tons of resources for you to find free or nearly free. I usually don't recommend the first couple of years of homeschooling that parents spend any more than $100 on all of their things. The libraries, there are book fairs, there are homeschool fairs where people are selling their youth curriculum at a severely discounted rate. And a part of my homeschool coaching business is I talk with parents, and the first thing we do is we say, what's in your Amazon cart? Let's empty it out because you don't need it. You want to figure some things out before you go full-fledged and invest a lot of money. One of the other things before choosing a curriculum is not necessarily choosing a curriculum, but before you jump into this journey of homeschooling, is a little bit of deschooling of yourself. If you were someone like me and my husband who only went to public institutions, we had to change what it looked like for us. So when we were talking about curriculum and how to implement it, we was like, well, do we wake them up and make them come eat breakfast and get dressed and come downstairs? Do we create desks? How do we have it? All of that really depends on you. If you're more formal and you need that structure, absolutely, you do what works for you. And if you're shadowing someone who's been doing this a while, it's great to take away pointers from that particular family. But ultimately, you have to understand what works for them may not work for you. Even though it works perfectly in their home and their system, you may be different and it may not work. I know some parents who did not force their kids to put on to come out of their pajamas in the morning. They just had to kind of wash up and they came downstairs. Some people did homeschool right in their bed. They would just take their books. It really depends. It depends on you. You know your child better than anybody else. Another tip that I like to give parents is that when you are looking for engagement, or you realize, hey, I don't like or this particular subject, or I didn't excel in this particular subject when I was in school, we have to be very careful not to project our reservations and limitations. I know me personally, I was not the strongest in math and science. And so I had to be very careful not to project that on my kids. So I, in turn, did the opposite. I enrolled them in everything in science and math. Apple has lots of free coding camps. during the summer or low cost. Microsoft also has a few of those. Facebook groups, there's just so many places for you to get resources. And you don't have to teach every single subject. So one of the beauties, again, is outsourcing. You have a subject you don't like teaching, it's okay to outsource it. You can find co-ops and you can find tutorials. You can find private tutors that can help walk you and provide tutorial service for those particular subjects that maybe you have an aversion to. But again, if you are someone who is limiting screen time, you're not a big fan of your child being on the computer all day, then you want to stay away from programs that are web-based. You may not want to do math drills on the computer or things of that nature. So there's just so much that goes into how to choose the curriculum. And so one of the things that I encourage my parents to do is when they get started, just make a choice. Simple as that. And guess what? In homeschool, there are no wrong choices, because guess what? If you pick something and it doesn't work for you, and you've taken my tips and you've not spent a lot of money, hey, you can choose something else. Sell it, give it away. As long as you didn't just spend thousands of dollars on the curriculum, you can set it aside, maybe try again, or give it, bless somebody else with it, and then you can try again. That's the beauty. That's one of the things that I love. You want curriculums that are flexible. So that's another thing that you want to look for when you're trying to find curriculums. Is there any flexibility for when we're sick, or does it have the whole year planned out for you? So again, taking into account the primary teacher's personality. If you're somebody that is a type A personality and you like structure from A to Z, and you want your assignments for every subject laid out to you because it keeps you accountable, not necessarily your student, then those are things that you want to look at as well. But if you're someone who says, no, I don't want no one to tell me that I have to complete 6 units in 3.5 weeks because we're going on a family trip for 2 weeks to Greece, right? You go to Greece for 2 weeks, you can make that a part of your homeschool journey, learning the culture, immersion of the language, the food, everything. So you have to just kind of take everything that you do and make it into, whether it's formalized education or informal education. But the sky is the limit on how to choose what it is that you're looking for. So I hope some of these tips and tricks resonate with you. I hope that they are valuable. And if you need support, if you need additional assistance, you can definitely check out my information in the virtual booth so that you can connect with me on social media. Again, my name is Chanita Williams, and I look forward to seeing you at future expos. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.